You sound like you are in a hurry to get somewhere else. Like, probably to sleep because you have to wake up early tomorrow, right?
A little bit, but also I just wanted to get the clap out of the way because we tend to forget until, like, 7 minutes in.
True! That's
and
true.
I have to scrub for it.
Oh, no.
But it's good.
Good.
It's all good now.
It's all Gucci. And I can't think of anything that rhymes with that. And I kind of...
All right. Welcome to the Hamsteak Podcast, where we talk about Homestuck and read it to you. My name is Alex, and I haven't read Homestuck before.
That is almost what we do. We won't literally read. There's another podcast, I don't remember what they're called. We'll put it in the show notes. There's at least one podcast that does or has adapted.
Let me tell you about Homestuck.
Yeah. And they have to undertaken the task of adapting Homestuck to radio. And it's very good and very, like, I don't know, it's like fun to listen to, but we are not that dedicated, so we're just gonna basically give you, like, bad Cliffnotes. Bad and biased Cliffnotes.
Yeah.
Is what you're getting here.
Yeah, I mean, we try to, like, do some literary analysis of it, but...
So does Cliffnotes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, here's the themes.
Right.
So...
Bad Cliffnotes. That's us.
I know we missed the episode last week, and we're heads up gonna miss another episode next week. I'm really sorry. I'm in grad school. I have no time.
Yeah, and I'm I'm working full time and kind of technically in school full time. So same.
It's okay. Time isn't real.
No, but it is important to us to have this podcast as a priority. So don't worry about it like disappearing, because we're going to see this through to the end. Oh, yes.
We'll be old and gray and recording episode 102 or whatever.
Yeah.
Just like the internet has been outmoded and we're still...
we're just like talking into a tin can in the middle of the desert. We're becoming the future desert friends.
Oh my gosh.
Full circle.
Full circle. Mobius double reach around. Okay.
Yeah. So let's talk about Homestuck.
Oh wait, I didn't say who I am. I'm Lydia. I've read Homestuck before. That's Alex.
Yeah. So we start off this week. At page 4688.
Which is a nice looking number.
Yeah. Sure. Karkat. So Karkat is basically
Alex is full of shit.
Karkat is wrangling John and Dave to have a frank talking to with them.
Mm-hmm. In a chat room called Fruity Rumpus Asshole Factory.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the best thing.
Which he's lured Dave into by giving it like a banner made of shitty clip art.
Dave can't resist.
Yeah.
It's his kryptonite.
So basically, he yells at them to not trust Terezi and Vriska because they're playing games with them and flirting with them.
Basically. Well, so it's kind of weird because, the counsel that he's giving them is completely legitimate, right? He's like, they are embroiled in this, like, weird, competitive, like, rivalry, and they won't even admit they're in a rivalry, and, like, they're manipulating you, which is all true. But he's doing it out of, like, sort of weird jealousy reasons, kind of, / like, a desire to, like, romantically mediate everything. And it's, like, I don't know. And it's also Karkat, and so everything is filtered through a bunch of effusive rage. He leads on with, everybody shut the fuck up, I hate you both, etc., 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 which is, like, more flies with honey, but, nice vinegar you got there. But, so it's like the most ineffective possible way to, like, deliver this very useful and important advice that he's trying to avert, like, you know, death, catastrophe.
Yep. Basically. And this is where John learns about the romantic quadrants, and he asks how many are there, which is really endearing.
They call him out for. I think Karkat like yells at him for not putting it together.
John also like calls him an idiot for it. I mean Dave.
Yeah.
Which is it's funny. And so John hadn't considered that Vriska had been flirting with him. And then he and Dave kind of like talk about like John's like, oh, like I've never really had like that kind of relationship before. Like I don't know, because they're like 13-year-olds. But basically they're just talking about this in front of Karkat, ignoring him completely. Mm-hmm. And then Karkat's like, I think you're missing the point. And Dave's like, it doesn't concern you.
Serious romance discussions happening here.
Mm-hmm.
It's really funny. Like, it is, I don't know, it's interesting for me to be reading all of these conversations between 13-year-old boys, which was not something, like, that is not a stratum of humanity with which I was ever a peer, like, and familiar with at the time. Like, I didn't really talk to boys at that age, and so it was, like, it's, like, weird, and I don't know how accurate it is.
I mean, I don't know either, because, like, I did have these conversations about, like, oh, like, I have feelings for this person, but it was only with girls.
Nice. Yeah, who knows how boys talk about these things to each other. It's mysterious.
Mm-hmm.
Karkat's really weird and, like, I don't know, Dave and Karkat exchanged some, like, weirdly bigoted, in, like, ways that are semi-hard to place, even, like, insults at each other, which, like, whatever, hussy is lazy, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got kind of, like, one of my questions that was at the back of my mind gets answered, which is that trolls don't have a hang-up about incest in the way that humans do.
Right.
Which explains the relationships between all the trolls who we know are, like, lab created and related.
Right. Yeah, you know what? That's true. They are related, but I guess
it doesn't really matter to them.
It doesn't really matter to them. I was gonna say, because, like, in regular troll society, it's so much stuff all going in one bucket that it really doesn't matter. And although it's probably not so good that, you know, there's only the 12 of them, that's probably not so great. But there's 12, so it's, like, enough that it's probably not a huge deal. So,
yeah, because basically what Karkat is saying is, like, you shouldn't be focusing on these, like, alien girls to romance, because you need to repopulate your species.
Yeah.
And then he, like...
Which John is like, ah!
Yeah, John's, like, really just taken aback and, like, doesn't know how to respond to that. And basically, like, eventually he blurts out, like, we're kind of related, though. And Karkat's like, oh, I forgot that matters to you.
Oh, right, the bizarre human taboo of incest, I think, is what he says.
Yeah, but then he, like, draws a really shitty diagram for them of, like, how to do it properly, which is just, like, the four of them and then an arrow between Jade and Dave and John and Rose. And Dave's like, wow, that's really terrible drawing.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Thanks for the shipping chart.
Call back to Nepida's shipping charts.
Mm-hmm.
That was good. Then there's a game.
Yeah, it's really cute. It's really good.
Yeah? I'm glad you liked it.
I loved it. So this one is a different style than what we've seen before. It's like a 16-bit pixel style, and is really reminiscent of Earthbound, which is intentional.
Oh, see, I've never played Earthbound, so I didn't catch the...
I've also never played it, but, like, I recognize basically, like, the sprites are in the same style, like, they have the same proportions, and, like, one of the only things I know about Earthbound is, like, the walking animation is very distinctive, and it's basically what these guys are doing. Like, it's the exact same. It's just, like, the flip.
That weird, like, hopping...
Yeah.
I don't even know how to describe it. Yeah, it does strike me as pretty odd.
And yeah, that's, like, taken directly from Earthbound. And there's also some really nice music.
There is. What do you think of Karkat's music?
It's grating after like a few loops, but it's a nice, like it's an interesting melody, I guess.
Mm. It's this, like, if you haven't listened to it, which you should, everybody should go and listen to all of the Homestuck albums, which are free on Bandcamp, and, well, they're free to listen on Bandcamp. They're very good. Karkat's theme is, like, this, like, sort of, like, ominous but comical, like, repetitive bass line, and then, like, this, like, annoying, like, semi-maniacal, like, flutes thing. It's really simultaneously, it's like farcically imposing, kind of, which is exactly how Karkat is. And, like, not as in, like, it's imposing in spite of being farcical. Like, it tries to be imposing, but it is farcical. Anyway, it's really annoying, and it, like, is stuck in my head all the time now. And, like, which is, like, accurate to Karkat. Like, it makes sense, but, ugh.
The first, like, the first, like, thought that I had when it started playing was, like, a Gothic castle level.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I haven't played Castlevania, but it's, like, that's the name that I thought of. Mm-hmm. Because it's, like, about going into Dracula's castle and all that.
Fighting and Dracula.
Nice. Or multiple Draculae.
Good pluralization.
Yeah. Keep up. So, basically, you start out controlling Karkat, and you can go over to each of the other trolls and talk to them. And the first one that you're kind of led to is Terezi. And you see that there's an option to switch to her. And so at first I thought that there was going to be, like, an option to switch to each of the trolls. And, like have an exponential, like, 144, I guess, like, amount of interactions.
Yeah.
Or would that be, like, the other one?
It'd be 144, because it's pairwise, so it's to the power.
Right. Luckily, you can only control Karkat, Terezi, and Vriska.
And future Kanaya, but she only, like, has, like, one interaction.
Yeah, there's a couple that you can, like, quote-unquote control future, but it's just, like, one thing that they do.
Oh, wait, I only got Kanaya. Wait, you gotta remind me about all the other ones.
Yeah, I have those.
Okay.
And yeah, you just, like, this is at the point just after Karkat has woken up. After fainting at the sight of Tavros' blood.
Yeah.
And everyone, like, it's an hour later, and everyone's like, you're still worried about that? Like, calm down, everything's fine.
Right. And meanwhile, Terezi has just received and traced that transfer of money from Dave. So those wheels have just started spinning.
Right. So yeah, he hasn't heard of the humans yet. So the first one that I talked to was Terezi, and I assume you too, because it was kind of the line of sight was led to that.
Pretty much.
And she basically fills him in on that money thing, and that the humans exist. And then Karkat says, now, if you excuse me, I've got a lot of important stuff to do. Terezi says, you mean a lot of wandering around talking to people aimlessly? And Karkat's like, yes, exactly. Which is great.
She's got him.
I also want to admire the sprite work on the conversations, because it's really good.
Yeah?
Yeah, like basically it's like each troll is given a different, like, silhouette, finally. Or, like, not, like they've always, like, in the more detailed art, like, you see them more detailed. But now you get to, like, see them together. And, like, compare them to each other.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. And they're animated in, like, really cute ways.
Yeah.
It's really cute and really good. And conveys a lot of character.
It really does. I guess that's true. That's one of the few times that you see, I think this might be one of the only times that you see the trolls animated and talking to each other. Mm-hmm. So it's like very, very informative characterization.
Yeah, it definitely, like, brings them down to earth. I was trying to avoid the saying humanizing them, but that also doesn't work.
Unfortunately, we are planetist.
Yeah. So after Terezi, Eridan is there.
He sure is.
And basically, I'm just going to go, you wrote down everything. I just kind of, like, took the highlights.
Okay.
Eridan says that he doesn't like that Gamzee has his horns out in a pile.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the only things in this room, besides the trolls, is, like, an enormous pile of shitty horns that Gamzee has, and that Gamzee is dancing around, or dancing beside.
Mm-hmm.
And Gamzee, when you talk to him, is twirling by the horn pile, and he wants Karkat to nap in it.
Karkat's like, I'm never going to sleep again. No one can sleep again.
Right, because, yeah, Karkat has just woken up from Prospit exploding. Yeah,
that was a little traumatic for him, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He won't say what he saw. I don't remember how much of this actually comes up in this game.
We don't know yet what he actually saw.
Yeah, but he won't. People have asked him, and he won't talk about it.
Yeah. So then we talked to Kanaya, and you mentioned that you don't really like her talk sprite.
I don't like her talk sprite because her face is a super weird shape, and she looks like she has this very narrow, pinched face, and I've always imagined Kanaya as having a really big, wide, heart-shaped face, and instead she looks super
gaunt.
And she looks gaunt and sort of waspish, and I don't imagine her like that at all. I always imagine her as very tall and kind of waif-like.
Yeah, I think I agree that her sprite is the least congruent with what I thought of her as.
Yeah, but I think part of that is also because they are pixel art, and it's really hard to do pixel art.
I don't know. I disagree. I think that there's a lot of really subtle characterization that can get across in this resolution.
Oh, totally. I just think that it's hard to do that, and sometimes it's not successful. I don't know if it's necessarily that Hussey thinks she looks like that. It's just failure.
I think it is that Hussey thinks she looks like that because the other 11 out of 12 were really well done.
Oh, the other thing is I don't think he drew them. A lot of times on these games, he brings another artist to do the assets.
Oh, right. No, yeah. I assume that he drew the poses and then someone else animated them.
No, I mean he'll completely wholesale just be you draw this, you draw this, you draw this, go. And he'll write the game, but then he farms out all the art. So I don't know. We'd have to look at the credits. But anyway, Kanaya's sprite is weird. I like it.
If we look at the credits, I bet Toby Fox is involved.
I would not be shocked.
Earthbound.
Karkat's theme especially felt, having played Undertale now, it was some Undertale music. Nice.
Oh yeah, I bet he I bet he was involved in the songs. Do you want to describe some interactions?
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of these run together for me. I kind of regret writing down all of them because so many of them are just kind of little flavor interactions, and there's nothing substantive going on.
Mm-hmm. So Vriska has a really great hair flip animation.
Oh, she does. Vriska oh man, Vriska in this Flash. She half the time is kind of bizarrely charming, and then half the time it's just the most garbage human being. Well, the most garbage person, garbage person. Awful. She goes. I think the worst thing that she does is she goes up to Tavros, and Tavros has just gotten his metal legs put on, and she's like, "Hey, those look great. Being able to walk really suits you. You were so boring when you were," and she calls him a cripple. I'm so sorry that had to happen to you. May I remind you, she deliberately had him throw himself off a cliff in an attempt to murder him. Oh man! And then she's like, "Hey, those look so good. I bet you want to go test them out on some stairs." And he's like, "Well, actually, I'm not supposed to put them on stairs." And she convinces him to go on stairs. Which, have we seen him attempt stairs on those yet? I feel like we saw it a while back when we were jumping around temporarily. He's gonna fall down the stairs. It's not a huge spoiler, but he I'm so mad. It's clearly bad for him, and she's terrible. Yeah, it's terrible.
But it's just to set up an aqueous saying, "I told him about the stairs" joke.
It is.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just want to I guess we shouldn't like talk about every single interaction, but I'll just say that the future things that you didn't write down, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
The first one that we see the first one that I saw was future Pfeffery.
Mm-hmm.
After Karkat tells her not to go to sleep, because Durst is gone as well as Prospet, and he assumes that the bad thing that he saw will happen to everyone when their planet's gone.
Right.
She, in the future, like after that dialogue, if you say "be future Pfeffery," she's asleep on the pile of horns. Future Aradia has exploded for reasons we do not yet know.
Yeah.
Future Kanaya finds out from Karkat that the Green Sun is someone's plan to defeat Noir, and then it's a long shot. Or like Karkat says that, but maybe she already knew. Apparently that isn't very helpful information.
Yeah, we're not given a lot of info about the Green Sun. It just keeps getting like bandied around as like, a prospect.
Mm-hmm. Future and I think the last one is Future Eridan's computer is blown up
by the Seer, which is somebody's title. We don't know who yet.
Right.
I'm trying to think. What? Go ahead. Sorry.
Something that Aradia says that's interesting is that basically Aradia here is really morose and kind of like at a loss for, like, she doesn't want to do anything because no matter what she does, it'll both initiate and be the result of paradoxical causality.
Right.
And she just like doesn't want to be implicated in that anymore. But she says, like, no matter what we do, like, I want to tell you to, like, I think that you're going to start trolling Karkat. Like, she says to Karkat, you're going to start trolling, and that's a bad idea. Trolling the humans, and that's a bad idea, but there's no way to stop you. And I'm telling you about it, and you have no idea what I'm talking about, but it doesn't matter because you're going to do it anyway. And she says, like, the thing that she says that caught my eye was, like, she says the two universes are two sides of the same Mobius strip, which is a really interesting analogy.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe literal cosmology.
Sort of. Yeah, because of the... Well, I don't know. Reasons we don't understand yet.
I mean, like, to me, the obvious thing that's been, like, hinted at in the past several hundred pages is that the human kids create the Trolls universe, just as the Trolls create the human kids universe.
It's an interesting theory.
In a paradoxical cosmological cycle.
That's an interesting theory.
My
fist is so far in my mouth right now.
Well, I mean, I won't talk about why there's evidence for that either.
No, please do. I can't comment at all, but I think you should totally comment on your developing prescience, because I think that's an important part of the story.
Well, we know that, like, the humans' session is doomed, and so if that is taken at face value, it means that they cannot create the Trolls universe, but maybe their plan that we don't know anything about yet is to do it in another way, or to do something different to create the Trolls universe or something. But I don't know. I don't know about that. All I know is that the creation of the Trolls universe is an open question right now.
Gotcha. That is consistent with what we have seen so far, is all I can say. I can fact check you on our readings so far, and that seems accurate. Yeah.
And the last thing that I did in this was talk to Pfeffery as Vriska. Mm-hmm. And Pfeffery, like, starts off really, like, cold and distant. And Vriska's like, what's going on? And Pfeffery's like, oh, did it work? Like, did I mess with you? And then Vriska's like, oh, yeah, you did. That's kind of impressive, actually. And I don't know, like all these interactions, like, even with the awful ones, like, they're all just so charming, and because they're not real people, I can, like, enjoy these awful kids, like, being awful to each other, but not, like, when they're not, like, directly harming each other, and it's just, like, these weird, inhuman character interactions. It's just really fascinating.
Right, when they're, like, antagonizing each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. You know, I always kind of just thought that, like, the writing wasn't landing for me, but I think you're right. I think, because if you think about it, like, the human kids' interactions, like, always land for me. I really do think that he's trying to write them as alien in a way that I didn't necessarily, because it's subtle, and I just have never grasped it until this read-through.
Yeah, because, like, they are, like, mostly, like, a lot of their interactions are very toxic, but that's just, like, how they work sociologically.
Right.
And it's just, like, I don't know, it's not something that I would want to be a part of, but it's something that is fascinating to see the interpretation of.
It really is.
Especially with these cute sprites.
Yes. Yeah, they're very full of character.
I hope that, like, in the theoretical Homestuck game that was postponed indefinitely.
Oh no! What?
Oh, the studio that Hussey hired to, like, develop it stole all the Kickstarter money.
What? How did I miss that news item?
That's, like, a couple years old.
What?
Or, like,
the last thing I remember is seeing a bunch of process art. Oh wait, no, I think I do remember that. So they stole all the money, but then he did find other people to work on it. But it's just like now it's going to take so long, and they don't have funding. So
yeah,
that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
That is woo.
Anyway, if they do have a game come out eventually, I hope it's art similar to this because these sprites are really cute.
Yeah, they are.
I love them. I'm gonna, like, find some rips of them and like plaster them all over my blog. I won't do that.
Hey, I'm not gonna stop you.
You should please do if I do that.
I will delete them off of your blog. You're welcome. Oh, so one other thing that, like, little thing that came up here that is sort of important. Well, I suppose I shouldn't tell you that it's important, but it keeps coming up, and I think it's interesting anyway, is that, so, I don't know if you've noticed by now that, like, people keep getting referred to by titles, so we've had, like, what are some ones, I don't want to, like, I can't remember which ones we haven't seen already, so I don't want to, I know that later in this reading, Gamzee talks about having been the bard of something. Yeah,
the bard of fuck, I can't remember.
Yeah, and when you find out what it is, you're gonna I don't know, it's funny. And then when Eridan's computer blows up, it's by the seer, who we later find out is Rose, or I think we've also seen Terezi referred to as the seer. Friska is the thief. Trying to remember some other ones, but those are the only ones that come to the top of my head. But
okay, those are just all, like, falling off me. Like, none of those are sticking.
None of those have landed.
Yeah,
gotcha.
But I'm trying to think of the imagery, but yeah, none of those mean anything to me yet.
Okay.
I'm sure that I will remind myself of them once they become relevant.
I'm just checking. Yeah, it's interesting to watch, like, at what point this knowledge sinks in for you. Because for me, it's all just like, oh yeah, and the name. Those things have names that I can't say. That's an important named concept that is explained and expositioned in great overbearing detail later. But we haven't gotten there yet, so I don't know. I guess I was just trying to see if it seemed interesting. We have a question pertaining to them that I can't bring up until they're on your mind, so I gotta wait. Anyway,
yeah, so
if you've read it before, you've been paying attention, and, like, it might be interesting to watch them get doled out. If you haven't read it before, we just bored your pants off. You're welcome. Then John connects to Jade.
But
Very
before
briefly.
he can, and so he sees her, and before he can rescue her, Nana Sprite throws a pie at his face and knocks him off the house.
And cackles, hoo, and catches him with a pen.
Mm-hmm. And then they talk in the clouds. And they catch up because they've been looking for each other for the past while.
Mm-hmm.
and she gives him an amulet that lets him summon her, which he was supposed to get like a long time ago, and which we see that Rose and Dave already have.
Right. Right, we never actually saw them receive those amulets, right?
No, but I assume, like, you get it from your sprite at a certain level that John passed a long time ago.
Ah, I see.
Because it's a boon.
The boon!
Yeah. So then they just talk for a while, and she's proud of him. And she also mentions that he's climbed up the ladder much faster than she did in her youth, which is interesting because that implies that she played the game in her youth.
Does it, or are echeladders one of those?
No, it's been established that it's like it's particular to the game.
When?
Last time, I think.
What?
Yeah. I think so. I'm very sure of that. That this echelladder, like, maybe other games have different echeladders, but, like, this game, like, the echelladder is for the game. John didn't have an echelladder before he started playing Spurb. That's
true. I remember them going up a rung on their echelladder being introduced as soon as they got into the game.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so we see a little cute pixel Rose. Not a game this time, but just like an animation. And it's her on the beach where she was before. And she's getting hassled by a bunch of trolls.
Yep.
So the first one that we get, it's Eridan, but I forgot, I mixed up his and Fefri's handles. And so for most of this page, I was very confused that Fefri was being awful to Rose. And it didn't make any sense, but it's Eridan. So of course he's being awful to Rose. He's spade eyes for her.
Spade eyes for everybody. That was a trope in the game too that we didn't really go over.
Yeah.
Is that he's just like rival thirsty for like everybody.
Yeah. So he thinks that she has like noble human blood.
Because she types in pink. Right?
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah. But no.
She's like, nah. Well, she's basically having none of him. Like,
she's also like, yeah, like he starts off with like yelling at her that magic isn't real.
Yeah.
And then he wants to learn quote unquote magic from her.
Yeah.
And in return, he wants to teach her about how blood works, and she's just like, I don't care about that. And so she's like, yeah, I'll teach you some magic. Here's your first lesson. And he blows up her computer, or she blows up his computer.
It's really good. It's really good. He deserved it completely. Oh man. Yeah, he's very like bunged up lately about like magic not being a thing, and like he's really mad that Rose uses magic.
Which is also interesting because he was very specifically like right next to and hating Gamzee in the game.
Right, and Gamzee's whole thing is also sort of mystical.
Is like magic,
right?
Magnets,
right? Which we have not quite gotten to yet, but
mm-hmm.
Fucking magnets, how do they work?
Yeah. And now Aradia is talking to Rose, and she basically begs her to stop tearing the session apart.
Yeah,
and she's like, I know that like it feels good, like I know the feeling of like wanting to destroy things, but it's just not worth it.
Yeah,
and and she's like, you should stop listening to the voices, which is like, because Aradia was like very haunted by the voices of the dead.
Yeah.
Or is she the one with the dead or the old gods? I think Solix is the dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aradia was the dead and the old gods, I think, and then Solix was the imminently deceased.
Okay.
Yeah.
God, so many. Oh my God.
A lot of voices.
Yeah. And so she's like, I know, like don't listen to the old gods, basically. Like, they don't control you. And then Rose just disconnects. She's not interested.
Yeah, and meanwhile, so as Aradia is trying to tell her this, like, Aradia knows full well that none of anything she says will actually have any effect, but she just, like, feels so compelled to, like, just say it anyway, and she's, like, tortured every time she tries to talk to someone. We saw it in the game and we see it now. Like, she's just, like,
right,
really struggling with it, because she knows exactly what's going to happen. And
I jumped the gun there. This isn't the end with Aradia. She tries to, like, she basically has, like, kind of a meltdown.
Yeah.
About, like, things being predestined, and she tries to, like, well, she, like, not really tries, but she's like, oh, like, I might as well just, like, say random things, and, like, then Paradox Space won't know what I'm gonna say. And she says, like, bleep, bloop, blop. And she's like, oh, look, I'm not typing without zeros anymore. Oh, like, ribbit, 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 I control it now. And Rose just sends an O_O face. And then Aradia loses it at that.
Because that's Aradia's thing.
Yeah, she's like, I know you didn't mean to do that, but that's just so funny. And then she mentions her, like, circuits. And Rose is just so confused. And Aradia's like, I'm just gonna go. And Rose is like, no, wait, you're actually interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, she makes a suicide threat and then leaves. And she doesn't follow through with it, but she says, maybe I should just... She says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to hook my power source up to my random number generator and randomly blow myself up. Mm-hmm. Which we think is about to be how and why she blows up. But then in the next panel, after she disconnects, we see her, like, with her head in her hands, thinking how she's not sure why she would even do that. Like, she's just frustrated. She
says that there would be no logic behind that.
Right.
Which is ominous because she's trying to do random things.
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, we haven't seen her blow up yet. But we do see in the background that Eridan's computer's blown up.
Had it coming.
Mm-hmm.
He had it coming.
And now Nepeta asks Rose if she can talk to Jaspers because she misses a cat presence in her life because her Lucis Leon de Pounce de Leon is dead apparently.
Yeah, because all their Luci died.
Oh right, yeah. And so Rose summons Jaspers. And I just took a note that this was like the first time since we started this reading that we saw like the doofy like blank stare smiley face art for any of the characters.
Huh.
Because it's just been so dramatic this entire time.
Yeah.
And also the like pixels and talk sprites.
That's true.
Yeah, it's been very dramatic panels with like close-ups of faces.
It's almost as though we're getting closer and closer to like a climactic point in the story, and the dramatic tension is building.
I guess everything's gonna cascade.
Not for another 20 episodes, so don't get excited. But yes.
Yeah, so she gives her laptop to Jaspers, and she actually dismisses him. She's like, thanks for like being a good sprite, but I don't really need you anymore because I'm not going on your quest. And Jaspers is like, oh, like I love you a lot, like I've always loved you, and I think like whatever made me, it really, really, really wants you to do the quest, and I think it's important not just for the prize but also for you. And she's like, well, I'll think about it then, and he's content with that.
It's really sad. This scene is so sad.
It is really poignant.
It's really it's really poignant, and it's like, I don't know. It's like Rose is completely derailing this game.
Yeah, and she's really not like Jaspers exists to love her, and she's just like dismissing him.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm happy that I got to be your cat for a little while longer, even if I was also a princess ghost.
Yeah. This is, I love you, Rose. This is an exact quote. I love you, Rose. I always have, even when you were a little girl and I was an alive cat. And I just... and then, yeah, Rose is releasing him, which I'm pretty sure that is how it works, bud.
Yeah.
Address your note.
Yeah.
I think either sprites or, like, players can choose to release each other, or whatever.
Yeah, we see that later.
And so he does have Nepeta to talk to, so it's not like he's all alone.
That's true. So now we switch to Dave, who's also getting hassled by 3 trolls. And first is Gamzee, who starts off in a very weird way saying he's gonna, like, school Dave. Mm-hmm. Like, go to the human school building.
Yeah, or something. Like, in, like, the most, like, backwards alien language possible.
Yeah, and at first Dave's just like, what? And then he's like, oh my god, that's right, you're the best troll. Which is really great. Like, I'm happy that this was, like, the reaction that Dave had to Gamzee. Mm-hmm. But he kind of ruins it, because he completely ruins it. Because he's like, oh yeah, like, it hasn't happened for you yet, but, I, like, told you about the Insane Clown Posse, and you had a crisis of faith, and, like, I destroyed your life. And now he does it again. Like, that was in another timeline, and now he does it again. Just for kicks.
It wasn't in another timeline, it's a stable time loop.
Okay.
Because, it happened months ago for Dave.
Right, that's something we should mention also, that last time we checked in, it's been 3 days for Dave.
Yes.
And now it's been months.
Oh, no, I mean, like, it was a conversation that they had before they ever started playing Spurb.
Oh, yeah. Okay, never mind then.
Yeah.
I thought, because I was thinking that this was, like...
Time shifting?
Like, Dave was, like, going very fast.
Oh, yeah. No. It's confusing, though.
It's 3 days, Dave.
Yes. Yeah.
3 days, Dave. Like 3 days, Grace.
Like if it was Grace, but instead it's Dave. My friend's cat's name is Grace.
Oh, I have a coworker named Grace.
Very nice. So yeah, Dave is shitty. Well, so like, I don't think Dave realized like the extent to which it was a crisis of faith, because he was like, yeah, you were like freaking out, and then we like rapped for a while and it was cool. And so I think the implication is that he doesn't even necessarily realize that this is what's going to precipitate the crisis of faith. It's sort of left ambiguous, but yeah, he sends him the video for Insane Clown Posse's hit song Miracles.
And it breaks Gamzee.
Yeah, Gamzee doesn't like it.
He's enraged by the video. He calls it blasphemy, and he goes spade eyes for the video.
Yeah. Or for Dave?
No, I think it's for the
for the ICP guys.
Yeah, like Briska is spade eyes for David Cage.
No, she's heart eyes for him.
No, she's... Oh, you're right, yeah.
She's heart eyes for him. Carcat's
spade eyes like that. You're right. But like that, but spade eyes for ICP.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to... It doesn't have to be a person.
I don't get that.
In the flesh.
Yeah, that seems weird.
I mean, you can just, like, see a picture of someone and be hard eyes for them.
I guess so.
And you see a video of someone sacrilегing your religion.
That doesn't seem like a spade eyes thing. That seems like a just actual rage thing. But I don't know. Trolls are mysterious.
And Gamzee especially so.
Gamzee! Oh boy.
And so he goes... So yeah, he's drawn really realistically, and he, like, goes Super Saiyan, and he calls it hero mode. Mm-hmm. But then he doesn't do anything.
Yeah, the narration is like, this is completely pointless, because all he does is, like, stand there and be mad.
Yeah. And now Dave talks to Equius.
Yeah, so I will say, like, okay, there's a lot of cool machination going on in this plot, but I have to say that the logic behind who talks to whom and when is often just, like, because the plot needed it to happen now.
Right, yeah, I definitely, at this point, I feel like now that the floodgates are opened for all the trolls talking to all the humans. We're kind of just, like, rattling off checklists of interactions.
Right.
Like, Rose and Dave just, like, this week arbitrarily get 3 trolls each talking to them.
Yeah.
And, like, there are reasons for the plot, but, like, it's not predetermined by anything that we've seen so far. It's just like, oh, yeah, now I'm talking to you, and now I'm talking to you. Right.
Which, I mean, like, the whole, like, the nature of the trolling application, like, and, you know what I mean, their access to the whole timeline and everything, like, that's sort of...
Like, it makes it arbitrary.
It makes it arbitrary, but, like, it was a little bit, like, plotty, but at this point now it's just, like, they're just talking. Anyway, so Dave is going to talk to Equius.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's, So, Equius is like, I don't understand human class because it doesn't seem to be associated with blood color, and also, you don't type in your blood color, so how do you even know? And Dave, continuing with his theme of, like, deliberately misleading the trolls about human society for kicks, is like, yeah, it's determined by how good you are at rapping. In, like, way more Dave language than that.
Yeah. And Equius is like, that sounds like nonsense. And Dave's like, no, it's true. And he basically, after some uncomfortable masochism from Equius, commands Equius to start... Well, he suggests it, but then Equius takes it as a command to start rapping. And, like, Equius is like, I'm, like, cultured in the fine arts, but I've never really been one for much poetry. I have some private poems, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure why I'm... Okay, Equius is like a... Okay, alright, that's my voice for Equius now. I have some private poems, but I'm not sure that I want to share them. And Dave's like, you will deprivatize them. And Equius just starts sweating.
Then Dave, like, raps a whole bunch. He's like, you see him wound up, and, like, basically, like, says, like, I'm really good at rapping, and I have a lot of money, and you're bad at rapping, and also you're gay. Well, no, you're bad at rapping, and you're creepy, which is completely accurate, and you're gay, which is, like, a dumb thing to make some fun of someone for. And then Equius is like, that was super good.
Well, what he says is, like, your poems must be very, very homoerotic.
Yeah. He says, I bet you've seen more cocks and dicks than I've got clocks and they got ticks.
Right.
Because he's the time guy, you get it.
Which all, like, homophobia aside, that's really good.
It's like, funny. And it, like, because the thing is, like, it's also, like, it's not just homophobic, like, it is also hitting on the fact that, like, Equius just is a giant creep.
And also he has, like, a bunch of nude portraits.
Yeah! Like...
Of centaurs. So, like,
he is a giant perv.
Yeah. So then he starts rapping, and it's actually, like, it starts off, like, he has some pretty impressive rhymes.
Yeah, Equius is good.
Like, they're, like, I don't know, like, structurally impressive. Like, his whatever consonants and all that, like, is good.
Assonance and alliteration.
Yeah, exactly.
Rhythm, yeah.
But then it kind of just devolves into all being about muscle beasts and sweat.
And their milk.
And their milk.
It's so gross!
And at first Dave was like, yeah, like, I have no idea what you're talking about. This is really cool. And then as it gets weirder, Dave's just like, please stop.
It's really bad. He's, like, also in the middle of this, Dave is, like, trying to pull a sword from, I think he's in the Crocodile Temple now, and he's trying to pull a sword out of a thing. We're never told what it is. He just refers to it as a thing. We see him do it, but it's, like, sort of an undifferentiated mass.
Sword in the stone, yeah, whatever.
So then Dave is like, all right, I need you to stop rapping, which he does. And then Equius tries to, like, bond with him over, like, so right now Dave has, like, one half sword kind as his specimen, because a million years ago, i.e. like a couple days ago for him, he broke a sword and ended up having to, like, fight with that for a while, so he has that strike specimen. And Equius is just really strong, and breaks his bow all the time, so he has one half bow kind. And so he's like, you were trained to be strong from a very young age as well, and now you're too strong to, like, use weapons properly. And Dave's like, I just broke a shitty sword. Like, what are you talking about?
Equus also apparently has watched Dave's timeline and seen, like, the same, like, the progression of training with Bro, the quote-unquote training with Bro, where Bro is actually just, like,
wailing on this child with a puppet.
Yeah. That Terezi saw last time.
Right.
But Equus takes it as just like, oh, you've been trained to be very strong. Just like me.
Yeah. And it's funny, but then Dave, like, okay, he, like, cuts down a pillar. He's like, so Dave, like, realizes that he can't get the sword out. So as he's still talking to Equus, and, like, Equus is watching him through the viewport, he's like, he wants to get the sword, so he ultimately just slices a pillar in half and, like, has it fall over and, like, snap the sword off, like, the part of the sword that is sticking out of the thing, and Equus is like, I need a towel. Which, instead of a towel, he grabs Vriska's Con Air poster, which has her, like, her lipstick
hold on.
on it.
Hold on. As Dave is slicing through the pillar, and he, like, makes a pose with that, like, the broken sword outstretched, he's like, I am your king now, B-word.
Yeah.
And Equus is just like, I need a towel.
Yeah, Dave's, like, kind of playing him a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
But it's also that, like, just Dave is a cool kid, and that's, like, how he operates anyway. Like, he would have done that if he was alone. But yeah, it's... he dries himself off with the stupid poster. And then he acquires... So, Alex, I'm sure you've read by now my pronunciation notes, but how did you think you were supposed to pronounce the name of this sword?
Khalidwich.
Oh, okay. Khalidwich. So the name of the sword is Khalidfuch, which I had to look up on the wiki.
Thank you.
And it's Welsh, and it's spelled Caledfwlch. So it's the WL used as a vowel as the Welsh do. And I'm going to avoid saying it as much as possible because I feel really weird saying it. And I have to tell you that the first several times I read this story, I never thought that it was supposed to be pronounceable Welsh. I thought it was supposed to be key smashing. And the joke is that everyone thinks it's Welsh, but it's just key smashing. But no, apparently it's
Oh my
really
god,
Welsh.
that's amazing. That would be so funny.
Yeah,
that's really good.
It's a little underwhelming that it just actually is Welsh.
It's also, I mean, it also makes it funny that it is, and you thought it was a joke that it wasn't.
True. Boy, those Welsh people.
Go goth.
Yeah, that's how you say it. Nailed it.
You know that vine, right?
No?
Of the weather person.
Oh, yeah.
Perfectly pronouncing, like, the longest place name.
Yeah, that one.
And I know that it ends with go goth.
Yeah. Go gadget. Welsh goth. Dave and Terezi are going to have a conversation now.
Yeah, they're great. Terezi makes an actual insight where she draws a parallel between Karkat being tormented by his past and future selves, with Dave getting bailed out by his future selves constantly. And she asks him, like, when does present Dave get to be in the spotlight? And he says, like, I don't know, I guess, like, when I become future Dave. And she's like, the funny thing is, like, that's what Karkat's always said.
And Dave is, like, not having it. Like, he's not into being compared to, I believe he refers to him as a gulf of shit at some point. He does not like being compared to Karkat. Also, the reason that Terezi starts making the comparison is because initially it's that, so they're flirting. And then, Dave mentioned something about, like, Karkat mentioning that, they should cut out this flirting nonsense and you're kind of up in my grill. And, Karkat told me to, like, watch out for you. And, he's like, so are we flirting? Like, that's what's going on here, right? And she's like, I guess, but, like, that's no fun once you have to, like, explicitly, like, call it out, like, in the middle of the interaction. But so, like, there's an exchange where she's, like, asking if she's really up in his grill or not, and it's like, I guess I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's really funny. They go on for, like, I don't know, an entire paragraph just with this grill metaphor, and it ends with Dave is like, what I'm saying is you got a front row seat to the brown side of my burger. How's it smell? And Trezzy says it smells like delicious burning animals. And they're my favorite dyad, maybe in the whole comic, maybe. I love these kids.
They're good.
Yeah. That's really it, though. That's all that happens in this conversation. Oh, and then Terezi warns, Terezi's like, I want you to take your shades off, and he's like, nah. And then Terezi's like, you're about to fall asleep. I don't know why, but you are. So make sure you summon Dave Sprite to protect your butt. Which he just takes her word for.
Because he's taken this sword, and now they didn't, like, the things are coming after him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so he summons Dave Sprite, and Dave Sprite and him are just like, sup.
Mm-hmm.
And so Dave Sprite, basically tells him, like, yeah, I'm gonna, like, protect you while you're asleep, and then I'm gonna bounce.
Like, I'm releasing myself.
Yeah. And Dave's like, okay, where are you going? And he's like, I don't know, I guess I'll, like, look for Bro. I don't know where he went to. That cagey bastard.
That dude is fucking inscrutable.
Yeah.
I've been calling people inscrutable a lot lately. So
good.
That's a good word. It's a really good word. We find out that the name of the denizen who is sending all of these monsters after Dave is Hephaestus, which, if you recall from the depths of your memory, was the name of Dave's browser.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember? I told you
yes.
It was important. I told you it was important.
I mean, I would have assumed that it was important because it was, like, a mythical name anyway, but thanks.
It's important. That's the foreshadowing. It's the kind of thing that, like, you don't really notice until your first read through, and then it's like, oh!
Right.
Like, your first reread, and then it's like, wait a minute, so much, like, preceded.
Yeah, so, like, there's a joke here, where, like, Dave Sprite explains, like, the Khalid Loch,
That's not it.
Khalid Loch.
No, Khalid Foch.
Khalid Foch.
Yeah. I just say the legendary piece of shit.
You wrote that wrong, then.
I said it rhymes with.
Oh, Khalid Foch.
Yeah.
Or Dave's like, why is there, like, a Welsh thing in this game? And Dave Sprite's just like, yeah, I don't know. And then he's like, why is there, like, a Greco-Roman thing in this game? And he's like, I don't know. But basically, it turns out that Hephaestus is waiting for his forge, and he's getting restless. And the forge is Jade's volcano.
Ooh. And in Dave's timeline, the forge was never lit because...
Dave Sprite.
Oh, yeah, Dave Sprite's timeline. Because didn't Jade die? John died, and then I think Jade they didn't bring in.
Jade never came in, yeah. So Hephaestus never got his forge in Dave Sprite's timeline.
Oh, man. They still give me the heebie-jeebies thinking about that session. Woo.
Mm-hmm.
What a weird... Okay, so anyway, I don't know. Well, it's kind of poignant when you think about it, because then it's like, all right, so here's Dave Sprite, who, like, has gone through... Well, okay, wait. So first of all, the one important little bit to mention is that, so part of Dave's personal quest, according to Dave Sprite, is that he actually is supposed to break the sword. Like, he wasn't going to be able to remove it gently.
Yeah.
But, okay, so the next panel is just Dave, like... Dave gets knocked out. Vriska knocks him out telepathically, kind of to undercut Terezi, basically. And Dave Sprite is there. He's this, like, small orange, like, silhouette holding a sword with, like, giant wings. And there's just, like, a million ogres, like, staring him down. And the ogres are, like, building size. And his, you know what I mean? Like, he no longer gets to be Dave. Like, his own life has kind of been forfeit, / he decided a long time ago to forfeit his own life to, like, protect this alternate version of himself. And now he's here, like, again, like, kind of putting himself on the line to protect him while he's been knocked out.
Yeah, he does say that, like, before they part ways that, like, since Dave has like the stable time loop thing down, he should be good. Like he's protecting himself basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still.
So it's like
sad.
after this, you'll probably bail yourself out of every jam, but like, I'm here for you, and then I'm gonna go, and it's like, oh man, like I feel like Dave and Dave Sprite's relationship might be like one of the most interesting in this comic.
It is, especially since like it's said in so few words.
Yeah.
Like, they're just like Dave, when he's not like expounding, is very terse, and with himself, he's extremely terse because he doesn't need to impress himself.
Right.
He just needs to like riff with himself.
Right, and it's, I mean, anytime Dave is talking, whenever Dave is being honest or serious, he goes from like very highly expressive to extremely terse, and so I don't know.
You're right. Yeah.
He obviously clearly has a very intimate relationship with Dave Sprite in a way because like you have to, but at the same time it's like the terseness and the guardedness like it's just amplified because it's this echo chamber of that, but also all of these intense emotions, and it's just like, I don't know, it's a lot.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, I hope they don't stay separated forever because there's an interesting relationship.
Yeah.
But I do know that sprites can die, I guess. So Dave Sprite rises to meet these attackers, and meanwhile, Jack is peering down into this scene through a crack in the giant record that they're inside of, basically, or underneath.
Oh, that's what that's supposed to be. Okay. I thought that it was just like elsewhere, Jack is doing this thing, but I guess if they're underground, then he can see.
Well, they are underground. I don't know if he's actually seeing them, because what he's doing is he's pulling a sword out of this crack in the record.
Right. He arrives and sees something that looks, I don't know, it's sort of like a katana looking thing. It's not like Dave's sword. And there's a huge crack in this record, not running all the way across. It's just in like one corner, and there's this sword sticking out of it. It's kind of like crackling with like heat or something. But you know, Jack is basically omnipotent at this point because he's got the power of. You guys, I just accidentally gave Alex a giant spoiler, and I don't want to spoil you guys too. So I'm not gonna say what it is. But I told him something important about what happens to Jack later. It's something really important. I messed up. We're sorry.
So, Jade is here. And she's dreaming.
Unfortunately, yes. So keep in mind that Jade's dream self,
died.
Jade's dream self died. We did see that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right when John's woke up.
Right. So he got there just in time to, like, not be able to save her.
Yeah. So Jade is dreaming, so her dream self is on her bed, and it's surrounded by her Tangle buddies, and there's a really weird song. It sounds like a Homestar Runner jingle.
Yeah, but with like whispery vocals.
Just like with like a really phoned in delivery of the lyrics, and that sounds lo-fi.
Yeah,
and with like a clinky piano underneath.
Right.
In a very intentional way. So it turns out that this is all happening inside a bubble. And that this bubble is somewhere in the sky above Durst. And Dream Dave takes off his shades to look at the bubble. And we see that his irises are blood red.
Have we not seen that in the comic before? I thought we saw that when he was a baby.
I don't think it was... I didn't notice when he was a baby.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Dave's eyes are red.
That's
as in that's not an effect for this scene. They really are just red, Which is why a lot of artists on Tumblr, if you've ever seen Dave rendered as albino a lot of the time, it's not just like a fan tradition, like it's a very reasonable interpretation of the fact that he like has red eyes on top of everything else.
I see.
So.
Cool.
Little fact for you.
I don't know if I've ever seen that. I can't remember.
Oh, yeah.
Ever seen that. But cool. If I see that, now I know.
Mm-hmm.
So now Pfeffery's inside Jade's dream. And it starts to get, like, distorted. The squiddles become a little more menacing. And then everything starts flashing rainbow. And Pfeffery's, like, dancing with joy, and Jade is, like, dancing with fear.
Yeah, basically, like, she's staring at Pfeffery, who's shown with, like, these flickering rainbow lights, like, all over her, like, very alien-looking face in this panel, and, or in this flash. And then, things get more and more distorted, and then we sort of, like, zap into the center and into this, like, vortex.
Mm-hmm. And so this is, like, it feels like a hyperspace tunnel, like, with things flashing by on the sides. And those things are mostly, what one can assume to be the silhouettes of the old gods. Like, betentacled beasts, with, like, flashes of beaks and eyes. And they keep going by, like past the camera like a Star Wars, faster and faster.
Exactly like Star Wars.
And the hyperspace tunnel is, like, getting more red and white and black, and it's getting flashing faster and faster, and it's very epilepsy warning.
Yeah, it's extremely epilepsy warning. There's no actual epilepsy warning, but
no.
But there should be one.
And this is also all like overlaid on static.
Yeah, it's like loud, pulsing, whirring sounds, like sort of mechanical sounding. You feel kind of like you're diving into the middle of like an enormous fan. Yeah,
and so this goes on for quite a while, and then at the end of the tunnel, we see Jade's bed floating outside of a bubble, and she's asleep on it, and it's like floating out in front of an absolutely enormous old god, and we finally see like close-up rendering of it, and it's like full of eyes and beaks and tentacles and teeth, and it's very evident that it's very far away from the bed, so it's very, very big, and it takes up the entirety of space.
Yeah, it's really, really big. It's super cool. I'm like kind of a sucker for like cosmic horror like that, and I'm just like, yes!
It is pretty captivating to look at.
Oh, it's so cool! Jade is not happy about it, though. Jade, like...
She wakes up with a very upset face. And then the next panel is just her with the text, "You suddenly understand jack shit." And this is like the first time that we see Jade, I think, like as far as I can tell, like the first time that I've seen Jade like upset. Mm-hmm. Because she's lived this kind of charmed life so far, where, like, if she falls out of a building, the bed will catch her, and all this stuff, like...
Right, her omnipotent pet parent will keep her safe.
Takes care of her. Yeah, and she just, like, can, like, kind of prance around obliviously. And now she's, like, been faced with cosmic horror in her dreams, where she's always been, like, on a charmed golden moon.
Yeah, seeing visions of the future and hanging out with little, like, friendly pawn people and stuff. She's really messed up, but fortunately, Pfeffery is contacting her already, like, in her waking life to be like, hey, I told you it's not so bad. And she's like, what do you mean? First of all, I don't remember that, and second of all, what do you mean not so bad?
Yeah. So it turns out that she was in Pfeffery's dream, or like Pfeffery shared her dream with her, mm-hmm. Since the trolls Durst and Prospit are destroyed, the dream trolls, or what Pfeffery calls the post-dream death dream self-dream.
Yeah, that's exactly what she calls it, you're right.
Is, like, in these bubbles that are, like, blown out by the old gods.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only way they can dream, is if there's one of those bubbles. But they can share those with each other, I guess.
Yep.
And I guess the reason why Pfeffery was okay to sleep after Durst was destroyed is that, as a Durst dreamer, she's more familiar with these old gods and not afraid of them.
Right.
Right,
and remember that her Lucis was basically an old god.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Jade, however, is afraid of these guys. And never wants to sleep again.
Yeah.
She starts out really agitated and, like, freaked out. But then she, like, she pointedly asks Pfeffery to put away her cork because, like, it's giving her a migraine to try to read it, which, like, same. And so Pfeffery types normally, and then Jade calms down, and they're friendly because they're both a bunch of earnest gals.
Yeah. They're well suited to each other, I think.
Yeah. And then Jade remembers that Karkat wanted to talk to her once her robot exploded. And she doesn't know. She doesn't know who it is, but she's like the worst one, the angry yelly one. And Pfeffery's like, "Oh, you mean Karkat?" He's not so bad once you tune out his yelling.
Yeah. Which, like, I definitely think that we do as readers at this point. Like,
yeah.
If you really look at what he says, he never stops being, like, incredibly hostile, but you just don't even notice it anymore. And that's, and so then what she's trying to remind her to do is that a long time ago, Karkat told her, one day your robot's going to explode, and when it does, I need you to talk to me. And her robot has now just exploded, and so she needs to talk to him, and she wasn't going to, but Pfeffery encourages her, and so she does, and that's where we leave them for this week.
Yeah, and just on the last panel, we see this, like, more detailed art of Jade, and she looks just so sad now. Like, not, like, actively, like, tearful.
Yeah.
But just, like, she looks empty now. Like, something really important's been taken away.
Which it totally has. I mean, she grew up alone. Like, Prospect was the place where she had friends. Like,
mm-hmm.
it was a big thing for her. It was a big thing for her. And she was really involved with her dreams, right? Like, she had trouble remembering, like, what happened in a dream versus what happened in real life. And so,
mm-hmm.
like, it was really, I think it was really traumatic for her. It's really traumatic for someone to die, period. And then, like, she experienced that. And then now she dreams in this horrifying place. Like, that's a lot to be grieving.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Thanks for listening.
Wait, do we have questions?
We do.
So we're going to do questions first. If you want to ask us a question, you can find us on Tumblr or on Twitter. We are Hamsteak Podcast in both of those places. And you can send us an ask on Tumblr, or you can send us a mention on Twitter or a DM. Any of those things are just fine.
So, Pastor did something interesting this week, I guess.
Uh-huh.
I have a question, and you have a question.
Oh.
So I think I'll just do mine first. Mine is to jot down a quick blank prediction list for the 12 trolls. Oh, okay. So
yeah, this is the ask that I keep being like, he's asked me about this, like, a while ago too, and I was just like, that hasn't come up yet. Really, sorry.
Oh, so it's just okay. So it's just for the titles.
Yeah.
So it's one question, but asked to two people. I don't know if I can do 12 of these.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Like, in my notes, I have it postponed until, like, things come up more specifically.
Yeah, like the meaning of the titles, like, just isn't apparent to me.
Yeah.
Like if there's, like, a system behind the way that they're just like the words that they have, it has not presented itself to me. Besides a couple of like joke ones, like Terezi being the seer. But I can't imagine that there's 16 jokes. Because, I mean, like, John's the Knight of Wind? The hero of wind?
The what of wind?
The Knight of Wind? Like, K-N-I-T? K-N-I-G-H-T?
Oh, I guess I should neither confirm nor deny. Well, I'm pretty sure he's been referred to as the heir.
The heir, yeah. Yeah, like, that... Like, whether you confirm or deny that to me doesn't mean anything, because, like, we already know he's the heir. I just forgot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I couldn't remember whether we had seen that he was the heir or not. And then, no,
like,
have we seen what...
Are any of them... Because, like, if they're spoilers, they mean nothing to me.
Yeah.
Like, I will not remember.
I guess so. I don't want to read off anymore.
I don't know what the pool of verbs are. Or, like, nouns, I mean.
Right.
Like, I have no stake in this right now.
Yeah, I know.
Is the answer to your question.
Yeah. Sorry. We'll get back to it.
I have no way to answer this. The shows with the fields and the stuff asked, if one of your parents or family members was your guardian, like mom, dad, and bro, who would they be? And what would their defining feature be? Like pipe, glasses, lipstick, etc.
Oh. That's a good question. It's very creative.
I want my dog to count.
Oh.
And his item would be sometime like when he comes back from the groomers. He has like they give him like a bandana or like an ascot or whatever it is. And it's really cute when he has it on, and it's only for a few days because like it just comes off eventually, and it's too much trouble to like keep tying it back on. But it's adorable.
This little kerchief.
Yeah,
they put that on my dog too. It's really cute.
It's a good thing to put on.
Yeah. Mine would be the easiest thing to think of is my dad would be my guardian, and his defining feature would be like. A towel over his shoulder because he is the one who cooks in my family and he cooks an awful lot and he always has a towel over his shoulder, and as I have gotten older I have acquired the same habit.
Aww.
So, it's a really efficient place to keep a towel.
Sure.
It's good.
That's good. Thanks for the question.
That was a good question. Thank you.
And thanks for listening to our show.
That's the end. We'll talk to you next week. Oh, wait, I should say which pages we're going to read. Not next week. 2 weeks from now. But 2 weeks from now, we're going to tell you... Oh, man. Okay, so... the spoiler happens next week.
All right.
I'm a jerk. That's why it was so confusing for me, is because these readings are so close together. But, so... I think it happens next week. Pretty sure it does. Anyway... Yeah, we're going to read pages 4751 through 4841, and we'll tell you about it in 2 weeks. Enjoy the beginning of the Halloween month.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at CrunchLeaf and on Tumblr at leafcrunch.tumblr.com.
Oh yeah, I'm BrickChip on Twitter and on Tumblr. I, do not even look at my Tumblr anymore, so... But, I mean, you can message me on there, I guess. I'll see it eventually.
You should look at my tag Lydia.
Yeah?
Yeah, you should do it on air.
On air? Okay. Here we go. We're doing it. leafcrunch.tumblr.com/tag/Lydia. Do. My favorite Homestuck thing TM is when something you bump into is so vague and casual that anybody could see it and enjoy it, but your Homestuck sense, that filthy fucking Homestuck radar you've got there, that thing you earned from Home Shit Academy after thousands of pages of asinine yet captivating circle jerk web content, it just starts beeping. And you just fucking know. At one point I was talking to a friend of a friend and they seemed pretty cool, but then they used the word abscond and I looked at them and I could see the fear in their eyes because I knew their secret. Yes. Oh God. It's anytime someone says it keeps happening, I'm like oh Lord, but there's more.
And well, anytime from now on, anytime you call someone inscrutable.
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't get that from Homestuck though. I got that from I think I just coined that one myself, but I think a lot of my humor does kind of spring from having read Homestuck. I think it was pretty influential. Also, the one thing that I have noticed influences a lot of people is the way that Hussey tends not to use contractions, and I've noticed that that's become that's like diffused pretty widely.
I don't know if that is from Homestuck.
It's not exactly from Homestuck, but it's kind of from his like sector of the internet, and I definitely there's like a bunch of creators that have explicitly copped to like. You may notice that I don't use a lot of those now, and it's because I read this thing.
I think it's just like a cadence thing.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think it's a cultural cadence. Like, I don't think it's a Homestuck thing, but I think it's like the sector of the internet it sort of originally crawled out of. It's a Homestuck
adjacent thing.
Yeah.
All right, I can see that.
We have a fish pitbull being mad. She's not getting her butt scratched. Don't let Tumblr make you think it's okay to live in Florida. How does Tumblr make you think you're okay to make you think it's okay to live in Florida?
It's a joke because you moved to Florida, and that's not okay.
Aw. Wait, but you're not the one who typed it.
It's a joke.
Aww.
I read that and I was like, oh, like Lydia.
Yeah, it's very hot here, which was fun in the summer, but now it's fall and it's still 95 degrees every day.
I mean, if it helps, I reblogged that from someone who lives in Florida.
Yeah, it's hot here. Very hot. And then you have a pothole map of New Jersey, which is just the entire state of New Jersey covered in little map markers where every marker is a pothole, and there's just, you can't see anything because it's potholes. It's accurate. It's accurate. It was really weird to come down here and be like, the roads aren't all garbage.
This is our fan cast of my tag for Lydia on Tumblr.
It's a really good tag. You guys should check it out. You should just check out Alex's blog. Alex's blog is super good.
I mean...
Mine's real bad.
Thanks.
Yours is good.
I think it... Actually, you know what? It is good mostly because it's mostly animals these days.
Yeah, right?
And that means it's good content.
Yeah. Sure.
Although the first page is like mostly Adventure Zone right now.
I mean, I'm still told that that's good content, so...
A lot of really good Adventure Zone fan art.
Aw.
Bye.